All right, we are going to review from 2.2, whoops, which is solving two-step equations. So you just did one step, possibly yesterday, depending on when you're doing this compared to your last lesson. One step, you only did one step to get your answer. Two-step means you're going to do two steps to get your answer. Okay. So basically, your two steps will always be number one, add or subtract the constant on the side with the variable. So that will be step number one. And then step number two will be multiply. Oh, that's not a, let's start that sentence over. Will be multiply or divide the coefficient of the variable. And we'll walk through several examples so that you can see those and see problems similar to what you might see on your IXLs. Okay, and you should always be doing them in this order. You're going to add or subtract, and then you're going to multiply or divide. You add or subtract the constant, which remember is the number that's by itself, and then you're going to multiply or divide the coefficient, which is just that number that's in front of your variable. Okay, so we'll start out with some easier ones and work our way into some harder ones that you might see on the IXL. At any point when you feel comfortable, you can start doing the IXLs, but remember where you left off in the video in case they start getting harder and you need to finish up the rest of these examples. Okay, so remember it might be useful to draw a line through your equal sign. That shows you your two sides. So everything you do to one side, you must do to the other. So the first step is always to add or subtract your constant. So you're looking at the side, our S, our variable is over here on the left. So we're going to focus on this side and get rid of things over here. So here is our constant, this plus 3. We know it's a constant because it doesn't have the variable attached. So we're going to get rid of plus 3. And like we just talked about in the last lesson, you get rid of addition with subtraction. So we didn't do anything to 2S. Your plus 3 and your minus 3 are gone, equals, and then 7 minus 3, which is 4. And remember, I've said multiple times, if at any point you need a calculator, please make sure you're using Desmos or whatever calculator you have available at your house. That's step one. Step two is we have our number in front of our variable, this coefficient. We need to get rid of that. Remember, we talked about in the last lesson this imaginary times sign. So we have 2 times S, so we get rid of multiplication with division and divide on both sides. So your 2's cancel out here, leaves you with S equals, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. All right, our next example, 2b minus 1 equals 1. So we want to look at the side with our variable. If I draw my line, here is my side with my variable on the left. I've got 2b minus 1. You always get rid of your constant first, which in our case is this minus 1. You get rid of subtracting with adding. So I didn't do anything to 2b. Minus 1 and plus 1 are gone. Equals 1 plus 1 is 2. Step number 2 is to get rid of your coefficient. I have 2 imaginary times sign b. Because I have times, I get rid of that with division, so divide by the 2 on both sides. Our 2's are gone here, leaves you with b equals 2 divided by 2 is 1. right, next one we have 3 plus 3u equals 6. So it might help you to draw your line through your equal sign. We always want to start with the side that has our variable, which in our case is still the left side. You get rid of the constant first. Notice this time the constant is in the front. Remember, the constant is just the number that's by itself without a variable attached. So in that case, it's this 3 right here. So we need to get rid of this 3. And we talked in the last lesson also, since we don't have anything in front here that lets us know we've got a positive number, we get rid of it by subtracting, because 3 minus 3 is 0. And then subtract to both sides. So 3 minus 3 is 0. I still have 3u equals, and then 6 minus 3 is 3. You have your imaginary times sign right here with your coefficient 3 and u. So you get rid of that with division. Your 3 divided by 3 is gone, leaves you with u equals 3 divided by 3 is 1. Let's do 17 equals 1 plus 2u. So this is not really anything different. We're going to draw our line through our equal sign. We did move our variable now over to the right side, but your process is going to be the same. Okay, so now we're going to focus on the right side. Look for the constant. Our constant is 1. How would you get rid of 1? Well, since it's positive, you would subtract 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Do it to both sides. 17 minus 1 is 16 equals 1 minus 1 is 0. Leaves you with 2u. We're still focusing on the side with our variable. We're still focusing on the right side. We have 2 in front of u, which means there's our imaginary times sign. Get rid of it by dividing both sides by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 2 over 2 is gone. U. So 8 equals u, or u equals 8. Same thing. All right, next example. So draw your line. Look for your constant. The constant's number without the variable. So this is still our constant here. This is not a constant because it's underneath your variable. Okay, so we're going to focus on the one that's not attached, not anything with that variable. So we have minus 4. You need to add 4 to both sides to get rid of a negative 4. You still have v over 2. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. And then 6 plus 4 is 10. Now you have v over 2, which remember this is like a division sign. So how do you get rid of division? You multiply by 2 on both sides. So these 2's will cancel, leaves you with v equals 10 times 2 is 20. Negative 1 plus 3p equals 8. Draw your line. Look at the side with your variable, which is over here on the left. We've got our constant is negative 1. So because it's negative 1, you need to add 1 to both sides. Because negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Leaves you with 3p equals 8 plus 1 is 9. Now you have 3p. There's your imaginary time sign in there. So divide by 3. Divide by 3. Your 3's over here are gone. P equals 9 divided by 3 is 3. All right, a couple of things you might see in the IXL. You have 15 equals negative 4b plus negative 13. So here's your line. Your variable is over here on the right side, so we're going to focus on these numbers over here. We have negative 4b plus negative 13. So this is your constant plus negative 13. So because you have a plus, you get rid of it by subtracting. Your number is negative 13. So you're going to subtract negative 13. And this is one place where Desmos might be helpful for you. So we've got 15, and we need to subtract negative 13, which gives you 28. So I've got 28 equals negative 4b, and then your plus negative 13 and your minus negative 13 are gone. Now this negative sign does not tell you get rid of it with adding, because what we're saying is we have negative 4 times b. So you get rid of multiplication by dividing, by negative 4. So 28 divided by negative 4 is negative 7 equals your negative 4 and your negative 4 are gone, b. So negative 7 equals b, or b equals negative 7. For m minus negative 6 equals 18. Draw your line. Your variables here on the left side. Your constant is this minus negative 6. So because we have minus, you need to add negative 6 to both sides. For m, your minus negative 6 and your plus negative 6 are gone. Another place where Desmos might be helpful, we have 18 plus negative 6, which is 12. Now you have 4m, there's your imaginary times sign, so divide by 4 on both sides. Your 4's are gone. M equals 12 divided by 4 is 3. All right, last one to look at. Oops. Eight equals 12 minus 2m. Draw your line. Your right side is where your variable is. Identify your constant. The number without the variable is 12. Because it is positive, you need to subtract 12 from both sides. Another place where using Desmos might be helpful if you're not so good with positives and negatives. You have 8 minus 12, which gives you negative 4. So I have negative 4 equals 12 minus 12 is 0. This leaves you with negative 2m because of this minus sign right here. Bring that down. But that is really a negative. So I have negative 2 times m. So we don't need to worry about adding. We have a times sign, which we get rid of with dividing by negative 2. Now negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is gone, leaves you with m. So 2 equals m, or m equals 2.